there's been some productive conversations, and obviously we're not where we need to be yet, and feel like we're in a good place.
Do you have a deadline on when you want to have something done?
Yeah, I would say there's no hard deadline, and there's not a ton of urgency from our standpoint right now, but still very optimistic.
Is it your impression that it's going to get done? It's just a matter of when?
I mean, we're going to have to let this process play out, and so obviously we're not exactly where we need to be at this time, but we're going to let this process play out, and ultimately we do feel good about where we're at.
Joe, what did it mean to even know that Rodgers wants to come to the organization? What does that say about where you guys are at, kind of thing?
I think it's a real credit to Robert and the culture, Robert, his staff, the culture that he's created, the support that we've all been given from the Johnson family, from Christopher and Woody. So it's a real tribute to them.
When you guys got permission to talk to him and you guys went out there and met with Aaron, a lot of people assumed that the two teams had already agreed to compensation, because that would be the norm in situations like that. Did you guys purposely break from the norm, or why wasn't that the case in this case?
I think each deal is a little bit different in its own right. We've in certain trade talks, there have been times where we've had compensation agreed to. This one just played out different. I feel like every deal, every transaction kind of has its own life, and this one was just different.
How much do you value that 13th pick, and how important is that to what you view as this team's future?
I mean, look, where I'm from, every pick is important, and obviously the 13th pick is a high pick in the round. So you really have a great opportunity to bring in a strong player. Picking in the top 15, picking in the top 20, the odds of hitting on those guys usually go up.
Is that pick off the table? Like, is that something that's non-negotiable in a trade?
Look, I'm not going to get into any specifics on what picks have been talked about, anything. But ultimately, we're not where we need to be at right now.
If for some reason it falls through, what do you have for a fallback option?
Rich, I think we feel comfortable with the plan we have in place. We're going to let this process play out. But again, we do have a really good plan.
Joe, Lamar Jackson he's a free agent. Has there been any internal discussions within the organization about perhaps pursuing him, and what do you think? What is your level of interest, if any?
Yeah, well, first of all, Lamar Jackson's a fantastic player, but where we stand is it would be disingenuous and negotiating in bad faith if we went down that path. So right now we have our plan, we have our process, and we're sticking to that.
What's your interest level in Odell Beckham Jr.?
I would say Odell. I've had some productive conversations with Odell's agent, Zeke Sandu, and Odell's obviously a really talented player, and he worked out for several teams a few weeks ago, and so we'll see how that process plays out. But we have had conversations.
Is he scheduled to come visit you guys for a physical or meeting?
So nothing on the calendar just yet. So could be a possibility down the line. We'll see how things play out.
You have some pretty good receivers on the roster now. Odell hasn't played in over a year. He's got 2 ACLs. Why the interest?
It's ACLs nowadays. It's like those are easily fixable. But he's been a fantastic receiver in this league. Everything you hear about him, he's a phenomenal person. But again, it's just something that you're always going to look over, turn over every stone, cross your T's, dot your I's, just make sure you're not missing an opportunity to add a great player. And there's no guarantee anything will happen, but to go in there and talk about it. And again, if Joe's had other conversations, that's again for a Joe conversation. But we're always going to study every player on the market to make sure that we're not missing out on an opportunity to add a good player.